Hello, ODK. Hello. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that amount of energy for afternoon. And I was not 7, I was 9. So let the record show. I can't be at Grand Valley and not tell a quick story about how I got here. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I come from Detroit, so my Michigan friends know that's here, right? And didn't think I would go to college, folks. Didn't really know anybody in my community who had gone. And so one day I was in my high school counselor's office, and she said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I thought about it for a second, and I said, "I think I want to be a waitress at a fancy restaurant." And she said, "Okay, tell me why." And I said, "Well, I think I'm pretty good with people, and if I was at a fancy restaurant, I'd make more money." Good logic, right? She looked at me, paused, put her hand on my knee, and said, "I think we can do better. Do you want to get lunch on Saturday?" I said, "Sure." And then she did something really illegal. She picked me up, I was 15, family friend too, at my house and drove me 3 hours across the state to Grand Valley State University. I was real hungry, folks. Her brother was a professor here, and she said, "I really think this is a place where you could be successful. And I can say without a doubt that I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for this place." So as we think about telling our own story, we have to remember where we begin. And I began right here in this room. So let me just first say what a pleasure it is to be here. And thank you, Tara, and everyone for letting me be here today. In this very room, I did a lot of embarrassing things. I was a member of a sorority, AO Pi. I've danced in this room. I've sang in this room. I was an orientation leader in this room. Inducted into ODK and Cook DeWitt, which we'll be in shortly. Was a member of Student Senate. And so again, full circle. Our stories are always so, so important. So our topic today is branding. And you might be like, well, why branding, right? Well, first of all, it's a complex world we live in, folks. We all know this. And you're all leaders, which is why you're here today. But how do you transmit that information about your leadership into the larger world? How do you take it and commodify it? So one of the things that I often say to my students, and I'm going to have you play along, is how many people in here want to go to a job every day that they love? Okay, cool. I like that the staff have their hands in the air too, all right? How many people want to make a satisfactory amount of money or more at said job? Okay, great. We're all on the same page here. And so that's what branding can do for you. It can say, how do you take the best of your talents, be able to package them in a way that is attractive to employers, get you that great job, and get you paid too. Does that sound good? Cool. So let's start. Like, how do you do that? So first of all, you have to think about what are the tools that you have in your toolbox. So when you're in class, when you're in a group project, when you're working in ODK, when you're working in your leadership roles, who are you? What's the kind of person you are? What do people say when you enter and exit a room? Leadership is about bravery. So I need 10 people right now to come on up here and join me on the stage. I knew I wouldn't have to wait with this group. Come on up. All right, all right. Good, good. I like this, I like this. Come on up, my last 2 friends. All right, so I'm gonna try to talk slowly while I ask this question, so my people up here, no, come on up. Blonde girl, come over. Blonde woman, I'm sorry, come on up. I want you all to think about this question as well. So again, I'm a dean of students on my campus, right? And so when people are in the elevator with me, they're kind of like, oh no. Not because they don't like me, I think they do, but because they know I'm gonna ask them a question. And it's not gonna be, so what's your major, right? No, we're gonna go big or go home. So the question I always say to them, come join me, tell me what's your name?
My name is Amari Hediwan.
Zamari?
Amara.
Amara.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So if I say to you, tell me what you are really good at, meaning better than most people you know. Do you have an idea of what you might say? You all better all be thinking.
I think I'm really good at reading people and letting them know that they can be comfortable around me.
That's an incredible skill. Can we give her a hand? Thank you. So what I'd like to do briefly is have each one of you, just real quick, just come up here. You're going to say your name, and you're going to say, I'm really good at, and you're going to fill up. You have to say really. You promise?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
Hi, I'm Kyung Sun. I'm really good at being empathetic and singing.
Awesome.
Hey everyone, I'm Lauren Kirkland, and I'm really good at teaching leadership skills to others so they can become leaders themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Jesse Chen, and I'm really, really great at Donald Trump impressions, okay?
Hey everyone, I'm Bryce Gordon, and I'm really, really good at talking to people.
Hi, I'm Sarah Schmidt, and I'm really, really good at connecting with younger generations of women.
Hi, I'm Kylie McCormick, and I'm really, really good at managing my time.
My name's Jason Coral, and I'm really, really good at telling stories.
All right.
My name is Matthew Hibden, and I'm really, really good at logistics.
Oh, so important.
My name is Forrest Bunter, and I'm really, really good at laughing and putting people at ease.
My name is Blair Freed, and I'm really good at communicating, networking, and stepping out of my comfort zone.
Yes. So before I let these fine folks go back to their seat, let me tell you why I had them come up and do it. Too often when I work with young leaders, they have incredible talent, and they don't know how to share that talent with others. They don't know how to tell their story and say what they're really, really good at. So sometimes when I ask students, what are you really, really good at? They're like, I don't know. Right? I did not hear any hesitation from these folks, right? Part of that may be the skills that they've learned through this organization. Some of it might be just who they are. Some of it might be that I scared the heck out of them and they came up with something quickly. But the point being is that if someone asks you what you're really, really good at, you have an opportunity. And when I asked someone one time that question in the elevator, and they said they were really, really good at marketing, I hired them for 3 years to work for me while they were a student. So always remember that anytime someone's asking you a question, that could be an opportunity and the start of your journey. Let's give a big thanks to everyone. So something for you to just think about, are these questions. What are the tools in the toolbox that you have, right? What are the innate skills that you have? What are you really, really good at, as these people talked about? So I'm gonna need 10 more volunteers again, but I'm gonna need you to come up here. I'm gonna need Mike to come up here. Where's your new president? I'm gonna need you. And then I need, 7 to 10 students to join these folks up here. Who's gonna be brave? Yes. Give them a hand, folks, give them a hand. I mean, you knew it was coming, right? Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask for you to stay right there, you to stay right there. Honey, can you come over here? Can you come down here too? Yep, you 4, okay. Just hang out, we'll chill for a little bit. Yeah, you wanna come and join them? All right, so I was thinking about branding, right? And I feel like before we talk about it, we need some good examples, folks, right? If I want you to do it, you gotta see it to be it. I was telling my table this, right? So I wanna talk briefly about an incredible brand ambassador. It is someone who has made a living out of knowing who their brand is and what they bring to the table. They're extremely inspiring in the way that they are able to deliver a product every time. Shall we see who it is? Yes. And so the thing about branding is that sometimes you have to think about, what do I have deep? What's digging deep? You already said what you're really, really good at, right? We learned that from our 10 people. Beyonce knows what she's really good at. Do you think that's true? Yeah, and you all know what you're really, really good at too. But sometimes you gotta think about, what's my go-to, my default, the way that I act in the world, the way that I show up. Because inherently, we all know ourselves and our go-tos. So for example, if I started playing a Beyonce song, you would know what your go-to move is, right? Would you know it? Who would know it? All right, a little Running Man, a little Worm, whatever it might be. So I'm gonna ask my friend, yep, see, Matt's got it. So anytime after this slide that you see Beyonce, I need everybody to jump up and show their best go-to move. Can we do that?
I got that. Oh yeah. I got that. There you go.
How'd we do, folks? All right, let's give a big round of applause for our reluctant dancers who really helped us out, okay? Thank you so much. Remember the rules though, folks. Anytime you see Beyonce, you know what to do during this presentation, right? All right, so let's talk about Beyonce. In all seriousness, she has a brand, right? So what is her brand? Somebody tell me. Yes, in the green. Feminism. Feminism, right? She actively promotes feminism. What's another one? I saw another hand. You all know her. Come on, raise hands. Yes, ma'am. Racial equality, right? Especially with this last album. What else is her brand? Empowerment. I need at least two more. What we got? Yeah. Confidence. Did I see another hand? Let's learn about Beyonce's brand. Is this accurate? How did you know this? I didn't, run this by you, right? I didn't say, hey, someone say confidence, someone say empowering. How did we have some of the same words?
You know her brand.
You know her brand. How do you know her brand? She's good at communicating it. She's consistent, right? And that's the key for branding, is that thing that you said that you know that you do really, really well. How do you actively promote it? How do you show it? How do you live it? Someone said that they're really good at empowering younger generations of women. Someone said that they're good at making people laugh. Someone said that they're really good at logistics. How do you bring that to the table every day? In the same way that you know Beyonce's brand, because she brings it every day, right? What's this company? Apple. Who is Apple? What defines Apple? Design. Innovation. Quality. Consistency too, right? An Apple product is an Apple product is an Apple product. I live in the middle of New York City, where there's an Apple store pretty much as often as there is a Starbucks, and they all look the same, right? Same design, simple, clean. You know their products. You know what they stand for. You know what you're getting. One time I thought that there was a line that was going to buy concert tickets, but it wasn't concert tickets. It was they were waiting for the Apple store to open. People have to have their brand, right? And so the tenets of Apple are very simple. Let's make it user-friendly. Let's connect it. Let's make you raving fans of Apple. They've done that, don't you think? Apple understands who they are as a brand, and they're consistent. Apple is not going to come out with some hot pink piece of technology that has 1,900 pieces on it. Simple, clean design. It is who they are, correct? Who's this? Nike. Well, that was louder. So what's Nike all about? Performance. Winning. No excuses, right? So it's how they define themselves. Everybody knows that swoosh, right? I also think that they're pretty future focused. They're always thinking about sort of the next thing, how they can create the next project that speaks to their brand. They're a powerful one. You all knew it. You yelled it out. I could have just put up that swoosh and you would have known what that was, right? Consistency in branding. Let's talk about another corporation, company, entity. What does ODK want to be known for? Who are they? Leadership, right? Community. Service. Scholarship. Integrity. When I was here at Grand Valley and I joined AOPI sorority, I was really nervous before the initiation because they told me, you'll find out at initiation what AOPI means and what it stands for. And I got really nervous about that. Like, what if I didn't like it? And so I talked to a couple of sisters before going through initiation about my fears. And they said, you shouldn't have any fear because you should already, in essence, know who we are because we've been living it every single day. And when you truly learn what those letters are, you will be able to see that you knew it all along. And that's what I think about ODK as well. When you meet someone who is involved with this organization, they should be personifying all of these qualities. They should be living them every single day. The best companies, the Beyoncés, and she is a company, please, Nike, Apple, ODK, they take the best of what they do, and they constantly and consistently evolve. So the speech that your new president just gave about sort of the changing nature of ODK and what we're being called to do, those 3 chapters wouldn't have been possible probably 10 years ago. That wasn't the conversation. But if we're not evolving, then we're being stagnant, right? And that's something that we have to strive not to do. People. at that the second time. Thank you. It's so fun, right? Because you never know when she's going to pop up. All right, so you might say to me, okay, Anne-Marie, this is great. Thanks for the Beyonce. But I'm a college student, so I'm not really sure if I need to know so much about this branding right now. I mean, I'm not Apple, right? I'm not Google. I'm not Nike. So when I talk to people about branding, especially young people, they're like, oh, it just seems so hard. I mean, how do I get started? And the reality is when people see me, they see me like this. They read my blog, they've heard me talk somewhere, and they think that this is sort of how I am all the time or how I've always been. But to quote a great philosopher, writer, thinker, Canadian rapper, we started from the bottom, now we're here. That's Drake, for those of you who do not know. So when I see these incredibly awkward pictures of me at 3 and 10, I'm keenly aware that this story took a lot of work. I'm the first one in my family to go past the 9th grade. No one in my family ever told me to go to college. They didn't dissuade me. It just wasn't part of the conversation. No one in my community had ever gone to college either. So again, going back to that story with my high school counselor, when she asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to be a waitress at a fancy restaurant, I thought that was truly aspiring, that I was going to be making something of myself. And that's nothing against anybody who works in a service industry. That was just as high as my aspirations could have possibly imagined. When I came to Grand Valley with a backpack and a duffel bag, I came into my room, set my stuff down, looked around, and said, all right, we got to figure this out. My RA, which I didn't know what that meant, but found out later, came down to my room, looked at my very empty room, and said, I am going to go to Meijer to grab some towels. I forgot towels. Do you want to come with me? Towels. Well, I hadn't thought to pack towels, because I didn't know that college did not provide towels. I had been to a hotel once when our heat got shut off during a winter, and they had towels. So I assumed that college would have towels too. In that moment, that 19-year-old RA preserved my dignity in ways I couldn't even have imagined. She could have been like, what the heck? What are you doing? But when I seriously think back at it, that's the moment that I knew that I was called to work in higher education, because she was one of many people that started me on this journey. So many people in the room, Leanne, I saw her around here, Marlene, there are so many people here from Grand Valley that paved that way for me. I know that I am the person I am today because Grand Valley allowed me to learn my own story and to develop my own kind of voice. I left college with $42 in my pocket and the belief that I was going to do something great with my life. But during the years while I was here, I decided that I needed to learn more about myself, and I needed to be willing to leave my home community of Detroit to be able to pave the way for me and for my family. So I got real involved. Please don't make fun of my 1990s era pictures. But when I look at this picture, this is a woman who felt like she didn't even know the questions, let alone the answers. And being a part of leadership organizations really helped me to find my voice and to understand why I was here. And so like many of you college students, I did a lot of the things that you did. I did an internship, so that's me volunteering. I was working at CNN for the Democratic National Convention in LA in 2000. Alternative spring break, fixing up houses in the Appalachian Mountains, my sorority formal, and just hanging out with people in Student Senate, right? So I did all the same things that you did, with no clear path other than I had a decent sense of what I was really, really good at, and I wanted to do really, really good things in our world. The day that I graduated here was a profound one. These are my two friends from my block. Marcel and Artoine and I all grew up together. These were the guys who brought me my homework when I had the chicken pox, and the people who were my fiercest advocates and taught this awkward white girl how to try to dance. They are still good friends today, doing big, big things in the world. Where are my rising seniors in the room? People who will be seniors? Yeah, you're not far from this, my friends, right? And so they're like, oh, yeah. But it's especially important for you to consider the way that you want to show up in the world post-graduation, to be able to take all the skills that you're learning right now and apply them to the world. So I want to give you a couple of quick strategies, some things that you can do when you leave here, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years after college, in order to be the success that I know you are. The first thing you should know is that the clock on your personal brand started yesterday. You've always been contributing to it, Every time you walk in a room, every time you're at your internship, you're at your work, you're at your leadership organizations, the sense of style that you have, the humor that you have, the empathy that you have. The clock started yesterday. You are your brand. What do people say about you when you enter and exit the room, about the kind of person you are and how you contribute to your organizations? Your personal brand is not a destination that you arrive at. It's a living, breathing organism, and you will pivot and you will turn, take right, take left. If you would have told me when I left here at 23 that I would go on to live in Indianapolis, Chicago, Oregon, New York, I would have laughed at you. I never was on a plane until I came to Grand Valley. And so the idea of being able to see the world in the way that I do and travel as much as I do now was a far-fetched dream. But it's one that I was able to because I've always been open to risk and to change. You heard in my bio that my dissertation work focused on the research of 10 female college presidents and their trajectory in the academy. One female president said to me, "Being risk-averse offers no reward." And I say that to myself almost every day. It's the reason why I always keep a half-packed bag in my room in case I decide I want to jet somewhere that weekend. It's the reason why I haven't ever owned a house or a puppy, because I want to be able to go wherever the next great opportunity is for me. That's my own value. But think about yours and what it is that you want to do. Many of you have parents and family members who've had complete career shifts, once, twice, 3 times, maybe more. And that's completely normal too in our world. Your brand is free-flowing, it's constantly evolving. It's the story of where you are and where you might be someday. Your brand requires constant care and feeding if you want to have success in identifying who you are, but it doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen by yourself. It requires commitment to block out time every day to developing who you are. It means that every day I am reading the things that are happening in my industry. I am working at least every couple of months on updating my resume, updating my LinkedIn profile, going to that networking event even when I'm tired, because I know it can open a door for me, for a student, for someone else. Someone once said, define your job in one sentence. And my job is to make sure that the value of an NYIT degree never decreases by $1. In fact, it just continues to go up, which I know is also a goal of your president here at Grand Valley. It's incredibly important that these students have every opportunity. When I look at my students every day, they have journeys much like mine. They are not supposed to be successful. They are high achieving, but high financial need students. And the difference between them succeeding and failing is oftentimes my staff in student affairs and the wonderful faculty that support them. And so I take that commitment very seriously, and knowing that if we're going to help people, we need to dedicate time each day to making sure we're doing our very best for them. Social media, it's inevitable, people. How many of you are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat? I love the Snapchat. Your digital base is home for your brand, right? And so I always say, before you post something, how would your boss or your grandma feel about it? Think about that before you post that video on Snapchat, I'm just saying. And so I know that whenever you apply for jobs, companies are going to Google you 3 pages deep. They're going to keep going to see what they can find. And if all your settings are set on privacy, please do not feel any kind of sense of safety, right? They're going to find stuff. So the point being is, it's not a good thing if they search for you and they can't find anything either. You have to have some sort of digital footprint in today's world. But what is your footprint saying about your life? What is it saying about your work? So the last day or so, I've been tweeting a bunch about ODK, taking pictures, talking about people here, taking pictures with Sarah at my table, because it's really important that while I'm here, I'm a brand ambassador for all of you, and I'm talking about the great things that you're doing. When you think about your own organizations, ODK and others, what are you doing to support and promote that brand? I am a raving fan of Grand Valley and a raving fan of my current institution, NYIT. And so I try to use social media as a way, as a platform, to be able to show people and showcase the good things that they are doing. Remember that it's up to you to tell the story that you want to be told. You have control over that. So decide what things online, in person, that you are going to share and how you're going to shape that story. Think before you share, and thinking about building your own brand, what's the important things to share and how are you going to do it? When I was 30, I decided that I wanted to be a public speaker in some capacity, that I wanted to do trainings and consult and reviews at different universities, and I didn't know where to start. And I thought, I need someone to help me tell my story. And then I remembered that that person was me. So I formed a blog, and I started writing a blog post, and my first blog post had an amazing number of hits, 78. Today, that number usually now is closer to 20, 30,000 when I post. And that's because over the last 7 years, I have dedicated myself to developing a brand that speaks to people, that connects with people, that gets them invested and involved. And in turn, I want to help other people who want to be speakers, who want to be bloggers, who want to do good things. That karma that we were talking about at our table, it's connected. Your network is your net worth, people. And so this is a little bit of my tribe. But some of my people who I lean on fiercely, they are my harshest critics and my biggest supporters, and the people who I turn to on a daily basis. Most of these people are right now in my phone texting me saying, good luck at Grand Valley, we hope that it goes well today. Know that the people you meet here, the people you meet at ODK, your faculty, your staff at your university, those relationships matter. It's the reason why at 18 years old, a woman named Marlene Kowalski-Braun hired me, and many years later, we still text every week. Because she's invested in me, and I'm invested in her. And we went from being supervisor-supervisee to colleagues to great friends. And that is the story. When you cultivate your network, that you're never too far from an opportunity. And whenever I get an email that says, you've been nominated to serve on a board, or you're nominated to win an award, I have to text Marlene, because I'm pretty sure she was the culprit. Developing those networks are critically important to being your best self and for keeping your people with you. When I talked to those college presidents in my research, they all mentioned this, that no one got to the top of the mountain alone, and that they were very clear that if they didn't have their people, they could get there, but they'd be knocked off quickly. So being able to keep your people close is an important part of branding. They are also people that can help share and shape your story. I spend at least an hour a week thinking about who I can nominate, who I can support, who I can advocate for different opportunities, because I know that that comes around to me as well. I don't need the credit for doing so, I just need to make sure that I'm taking the time to do it. When thinking about branding, do your homework. Go old school. Write thank you notes. Smile, shake people's hand, follow up, be on time. Those things matter. We think that they're very simple, but they're actually not common anymore. The idea that someone would do something great for you and you would text them or you would email quick thanks or maybe an emoji with a heart is lovely, I guess. But I say kick it old school, because every time someone interviews with me and I get a handwritten note, that makes me take a second look. So think about doing your homework and being consistent in your brand. I want part of my brand to be thoughtfulness as much as it is influence or success. And so think about how you're going to shape your brand. You like it, don't lie. I know. My student, when reviewing this, said, are you going to wear this outfit to the ODK thing? And I said, I'd like to keep my job, thank you. What I'd like to remind you is that for many of our students here in the audience, you are at the start of your journey. You are defining who you want to be in the world, how you want to show up in the world. You're also saying to other people, as I said at my table, you teach people how to treat you. Every time you show up, you are branding yourself in that way. I gave my card to Sarah at my table today, and I said, if there's ever anything I can do to help you, you let me know. I expect that Sarah will reach out back to me, and I expect that as you meet people, you will find ways to extend a hand as the same hand that has been extended to you. I wanted to use my time here today to be able to tell you one very important thing. It's that we are all connected through a community, and that you get to be an important part of that community, and I can't wait to see what your contribution will be. Thank you so much for your time today.